I hope everybody is doing great this morning. I'm having a sort of like a slow writing morning, a little bit of a slog, but pushing along. These mornings also happen, pushing along and writing. And today I want to tell you a little bit about reverse outlines and why should you do them and my sort of my 3 tips to do them well. So the first thing that I want to tell you is that if you don't outline, you need to learn and do it quickly. Okay, and not outlining is like procrastination. Not outlining is something that you do because you are insecure about your writing. So it just feels better to write long texts because you don't have to like put all of your ideas in paper at once. I was like that. I used writing as a procrastination, sort of like mental health whatever technique, and that was major when I really began outlining, really sped up the process, really helped me think better. So outline a lot, okay? And the way it worked for me is that I sort of like began to see outlines not as like the final product, but like as a draft of a draft, and so it made me less anxious about doing them. So that could be something that works for you. I don't know, but as quickly as you can. Okay. Now, what are reverse outlines? So an outline is basically when you lay out your ideas before writing. A reverse outline is when you lay out your ideas after writing. So I always do a reverse outline after I finish the first draft of a paper, and sometimes even after I finish the first draft of a section, but that doesn't happen a lot. Okay, and so what are the 3 key things for reverse outlining? We'll start from we can start with the goals, right? Why do you reverse outline? What are the goals? For me, there are 4 goals for research outlining. The first is about sufficiency. So, do I have enough to make my points? Do I have enough data to make my points? Am I taking enough steps to make my points, or I'm just assuming that the reader has, knows as much as I do about a specific literature or a specific approach or a specific framework? For example, I write a lot on from practice theory and structuration theory. Have I explained structuration theory enough in the paper? Is it enough there for my reader to understand what I'm saying? Also, is there enough data to make my points? Because sometimes like I'll outline the discussions a long time after the results section, or sometimes even before writing the results section, and so I'll be making points in the discussion and not have enough data in the results section to back them up. So a reverse outline will also help me to find whether there are holes actually in the paper that I need to fill with data or with theory and so on. Okay. Third thing is repetition. Okay. So especially in the theory section and in the discussion section, I sometimes repeat myself a little bit, and so when you have an outline, it's you'll see it immediately when you're basically saying the same things in different parts of the paper, or sometimes the results section, the discussion section repeats parts of the results section. So again, not something that you want to do. So an outline will allow you to do this. The final thing that an outline is very useful for is cutting flash, especially when you write qualitative papers. your paper will just be too long. And sometimes journals will impose a page limit or word limit on your paper. And you'll have to cut things that are important, things that matter. Contributions to theory, bits of data, parts of the discussion. And it is easier to make that decision when you are looking at an outline and say, this is a really key part of the paper, really key insight. This is nice to have, but not really fundamental. So it is easier to use an outline to cut flesh. Okay, so that's the goal. That's the four goals. What is an outline for? And basically, the idea is that there are things that you don't see when you're on the ground. And the outline basically allows you to take a helicopter and get really not a bird's eye view, because you're not a bird, you're in a helicopter eye view of the paper. Like you just see everything at once, and can find the holes and the things to cut and so on. Okay, good. Now that's the goal. Second, let's talk about process. So the next two are about process. How do you do this? Okay, for me, the sequencing of an outline is super important, because an outline is also an opportunity to keep parts of your paper in your head at the same time, right? So the point when you take a helicopter is to see the whole landscape. It's not like to look at one side and then look at the other, right? That's not why you take the helicopter, right? So it's really important to use an outline or a reverse outline to compare parts of paper that you need to compare by having them in your head at the same time. And a super important point here is that obviously you think when you have the whole outline, but outlining is an opportunity to think, okay? So the sequencing of not only of what you look after you have the finished outline, but actually when you're doing the outline. And so what I do that has been useful for me is sort of like do an in-out approach. So I never put methods in the outline, because the method section is the method section. So I begin with the core of the paper, which are the results, okay? And then I move from the results to the discussion, and the discussion to the theory. So I'm in this core layer of the results, and I move one layer out to the discussion and the theory. I do the discussion first because the discussion needs to be entirely based on the results. So I want to have these two in my mind at the same time, results and discussion. And then I need to have the discussion and the theory at the same time, because I don't want to be invoking new theories in the discussion that I don't have in the theory section, and I want to make sure that I address everything that I raised in the theory section, the research question and the opportunity, the insights and so on. I want to make sure that they're all in the discussion, so I want to have these two at the same time, and then conclusion and an introduction. I go to the introduction first, and then to the conclusion, just because the introduction is closer to the theory and to the core of the research question of the paper. So that's the in-out approach, like the process, okay? Now, the third insight that I want to share with you is how important it is to visualize outlines, okay? So I basically do a 3-screen split in Scrivener, right? So I use the split screen view on Scrivener to have on the left side is what I'm working on, so that's the outline. On the right side of the main Scrivener window is the text that I'm reverse outlining, and then I have an inspector window with the other outline that I also want to keep in my mind. So after I've done the reverse outline for the results, I keep the outline for the discussion section in the left. In the center, I keep the text of the discussion section that I'm reverse outlining. And on the right, I keep the outline for the results section, so that is in my mind, as I'm writing the discussion section, or reverse outlining the discussion section. Okay, so that's outlines for you. So I just want to re-emphasize my point at the beginning. Learn how to outline and begin to practice outlining as soon as you can. It is a key skill. It will save you months of work, and it will allow you to engage with your ideas in a much more powerful way. Again, sharing what worked for me. I moved from, the outline is a finished set of ideas and structure for the paper, to the outline, sort of like precedes like the real thinking about the paper with the text. Final point for today: outlining is a new occasion to think. Remember, one of the first videos in the channel, can you publish if you're not a genius? Yes, you just need to engage with the data much more, engage with the theory much more. So this just allows you another opportunity to do that. Okay, so it's a new iteration on the paper. Okay, so thanks everybody so much for watching. Have a great weekend if you're seeing this live on Friday. If you are watching this recorded, don't forget to like and subscribe on YouTube. Love you all so much. Have a great time.